Shout out to Stuttering Craig for doing some journalism. Like, he's got a background in journalism, right? Like, I think he's got a master's in it or something like that. But yeah. He's the guy who founded Screw Attack, my favorite, absolute favorite games-related website from back in the day. Now he runs the Side Scrollers podcast, and it's, growing leaps and bounds all the time. Shout out. Enough glazing, obviously, but he's been going hard on a couple of different topics recently, and it's one that we touched on when I was talking about Dustborn before, how they were scamming money from Norway and the European Union. Like, they got $2 million out of Norway and $250,000 out of the EU. It was something like that. Go check the previous video if you're so inclined, because, oh boy, there's quite a bit of scamming going on. Because it makes sense, right? For a game that costs millions of dollars that dozens of people pick up, how do these studios continue to do this? Why would any other studio look at that business model and go, you know what? That's what we need to do. We need to go ahead and follow that trend, because Dustborn is a spot in a long line of woke games, unapologetically woke, unabashedly woke games. Why do these continue to happen? Well, it's because there's free money on display. There's free money to go out there. Oh, I'm sorry. I said free. I mean your money that's out there. Dustborn after doing a quick search, shows the U.S. also provided $275,000 of funding for a new counter disinformation game. What? Counter disinformation? I've seen some gameplay of this stuff, and it would be a tremendous parody game, but it's the wokest shit I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's getting your taxpayer dollars because it's counter disinformation? I beg your pardon. Following reports of Dustborn receiving funding from the EU, the US government spent over $250,000 on a counter disinformation game. And yeah, kind of lets me know that there's, just that one designation right there, funding for a new counter disinformation game. Oh, this isn't the only one getting that funding. In the wake of Red Thread Games releasing Dustborn, it was revealed that the developer received funding from the European Union as well as the Norwegian Film Institute. Now it's being reported that the U.S. government spent over $250,000 on counter disinformation, a game. Former World of Warcraft lead, Grums, reported that Dustborn received 14 million kroner, 1.4 million from the Norwegian Film Institute, and 150K from the Creative EU Grant Program. Yes, that's what we talked about before. Stuttering Craig pointing out, the $275,000 back in 2021, because this game has been in development for way too long. In fact, the document from the U.S. Embassy, The Hague Public Affairs Section of the U.S. Department of State issued a notice of funding the game. I beg your pardon. This notice stated, the U.S. Embassy, The Hague Public Affairs Section announces an open competition for organizations to submit applications to, number 1, produce an English and Dutch language pilot version of a counter disinformation game, requirements below. Number 2, produce a French version of the game. Number 3, produce one additional translation to a European, Asian, and or African language. Now, is it going to be in English or in clicks? That's what I'd like to know. To be determined at a later date. Number 4, host the game on the company's own servers. I mean, okay, develop it, great, okay. And 5, develop and implement data collection. Oh, that's interesting. And analysis methodologies to demonstrate the project's achievements of expected results. And finally, number 6, promote games to target audiences. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're doing. Please carefully follow all instructions below. And oh yes, they definitely did. Their target audience. It is small, but it's all based on social media. Where did they do a lion's share of their marketing? Oh yeah, exactly. And as for the rest of that stuff, I mean, come on, the fact that they're spying on you, that should be the least surprising thing that you see about this game. This document noted, digital games have proven to be an effective tool in building cognitive resistance to disinformation across diverse environments and cultural contexts. Maybe that's why, I think it was DHS ended up labeling certain gamers as domestic extremists. Okay. Because they know how effective this disinformation dissemination is. The U.S. Embassy in The Hague is accepting proposals for the development of the digital game that incorporates active inoculation theory 1, along with other digital media literacy education methods in a fun, interactive experience targeting global internet users ages 15 and up. Bruh, media literacy is in a government document. What a time to be alive. Primary gameplay should simulate the experience of engaging in common disinformation and propaganda activities. That's why this game should be a parody, god damn it. While educating the user on digital literacy acceptable in the real world. Yes, where all the cops are white and you can weaponize cancel culture and yell you're racist at people having a conversation because you get too triggered. Fantastic. It appears the game was indeed funded as a number of congressmen, including Michael T. McCall, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Brian Mast, Christopher H. Smith, Daryl Issa, Maria Elvira Salazar, Keith Self, Mills and Ken Buck sent a letter of to Secretary of State Antony Blinken regarding the game and other issues to the Global Engagement Center. Wow. Okay, the GEC continues to stray from its founding mission through its subsidized censorship of free speech and disfavored opinions, particularly by established conservative media and individuals, through grants, partnerships, and awards to entities including Global Disinformation Index, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, and Moonshot CVE. The GEC also appears to take the official position that populism, whether at home or abroad, is an affront to democracy. The will of the people is an affront to democracy. Make that one make sense. And a congressman wrote that. Yeah, okay. And the First Amendment rights of all Americans. Populism is an affront to democracy and the First Amendment. Holy shit. Elected representatives actually said that. And they have it in black and white. This is crazy. It then listed a number of examples, including video games. In 2021, the GEC spent $275,000 producing a counter-disinformation video game, and here it is, that programmed audiences to associate citizen critiques of government waste, fraud, and abuse with social media disinformation campaign. Wow. It continued in 2020. The GEC produced a similar counter-disinformation video game explicitly targeting political misinformation, apparently modeled off the U.S. 2020 presidential election cycle. Ooh, I love that gameplay quirk where you could just go ahead and dump 500,000 ballots in the middle of the night after a pipe burst. The letter then noted in the above counter-disinformation video games. The GEC selected and supported the University of Cambridge Social Decision-Making Lab, whose recent disinformation research includes targeting U.S. conservatives, climate change deniers, vaccine skeptics, and election deniers. Oh, great. You love to see all my favorite people lumped into the same place. According to a report from Real Clear Policy, the game in question is called Cat Park. Okay. A leaked memo from the State Department explained Cat Park. I wonder who they're targeting with their audience. What is that? Oh, okay, that's exactly what I would think that game looks like. Cat Park builds on the success of the first game funded by the GEC, Harmony Square. Oh my god. No, that's Harmony Square. I've seen that before. I've seen those used in thumbnails. I'm sure you guys probably have as well. Cat Park inoculates players against real-world disinformation by showing how sensational headlines, memes, and manipulated media can be used to advance conspiracy theories and incite real-world violence. Can you cite your sources? The game is now available in English, Dutch, French, and Russian. Oh, you need it in English, you need it in Dutch, you need it in another European dialect, and then also in an additional European, Asian, or African dialect. Oh, it fits. It checks all of those boxes, brother. There you go. A toolkit produced for the game and published in October of 2022 states that in a study conducted by the University of Cambridge, people who play Harmony Square are bored out of their mind. It's unclear how the State Department defines misinformation. Yes, the toolkit reveals that Dutch studio Tilt developed the game. Welcome to Cap. That's what you got. A still from what looks like your modern day Marvel comic book. Some pathetic female writer in her goofy, pathetic LA apartment with a box of takeout on the windowsill, and I'm sure there's probably a litter box somewhere in the corner, half-eaten pizza on the ground, and just the most basic effort possible. It seemingly came into existence in 2021, just in enough time to collect some government payola, huh? At the same time, the State Department funded Cat Park. On the company's website, it clearly states it opposes hate speech. Oh, that's good. That's good. It reads, at Tilt, we believe that the world should be a safe and inclusive place for everyone, regardless of race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. But if you're a conservative, you need to get out of here because you're a bigot, racist, sexist, homophobe, bigot. That's why we are on a mission to make the internet a safer place by combating and detecting online hate speech. That's fantastic. I also shared his definition of hate speech. Oh, we got to be in for a banger on this one. We define hate speech as abuse that is targeted at a protected group or its members for being a part of that group. I would think that would be harassment, but I guess if you want new words for it, be my guest. Protected groups are based on age, disability, a gender identity, race, national or ethnic origins, religion, sex, or sexual orientation, which broadly reflects a Western legal consensus, particularly, yes, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, 2010 UK Equality Act, and the EU's Charter of Fundamental Rights. So basically, if I was to get hit by that mob, I could pull my Métis card and they would be performing a hate speech on me. That'd be interesting. Now, based on these definitions, we approach hate speech detection as a non-binary classification of content as either hateful or non-hateful. Oh, this is the one time that you guys can figure out that there's a distinction between two choices. Oh, okay. Our research is a multilingual. Yeah, because it has to in order to collect that cache. But that's kind of crazy, right? The deeper we dig on this stuff, the more it's easy to figure out that all this crap, well, it's not done for an audience. It's done via government subsidy. And even if you hate it, even if you look at this stuff and you're never going to play it again in your entire life, you're still funding it. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.